What's going on, guys? It's Rollin with Rollin's Amazing Photography, and welcome to today's video where I'm telling all of you 2 essential lenses that you're going to need for portrait photography. So let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to go ahead and start this off with a 24-70 f2.8 lens. I shoot Nikon, so this is a Nikon 24-70 f2.8 lens. This is the G series. It's really good for me. This is a f mount. This is not a mirrorless lens. It works really well for me. Now, there are a couple of different reasons that you're going to need a lens like this. First off, it is one of the most versatile and portable lenses that you can get for any camera system. Nikon, Sony, Canon, Fujifilm. 24-70s are always great lenses. They can be used for more than portrait photography as well. If you do other things besides portrait photography, they're really good for landscapes, travel shots. But today we are focusing on portraiture. So I like to use the 24-70 personally to implement the scene around the subject into the photo. Take a look at some of these photos. For example, you're going to notice that you can clearly see the scene around the person or people in the photos. And that's because I think it's really important when you're shooting portraits to have somewhat of a context of the picture rather than just a traditional headshot. And the 24-70 is going to be the perfect way to do that. It also, obviously it shoots wide, so at 24 that's pretty wide. You're shooting at a wide focal length at 24 millimeters, but it goes down to 70 millimeters, which is going to compress the background more onto the subject. So if you do want to get that traditional headshot at 70 millimeters, that's going to be good enough to get that as well. So I think that's really important. And I'm a really huge fan of the 24-70. It was the first lens I bought to help me focus more on portraiture, and it's done me great. It's really durable. You can buy them new, you can buy them used. I bought mine used from KEH. I'm not affiliated with KEH in any way, but KEH is really good about making sure that their lenses are top-notch in quality, and I'm really happy with this lens. In terms of specs, it's really sharp. It allows you to manual focus or autofocus, so I think that's really important. If you're looking at older lenses, you might just be catching one that manual focuses only. When you're shooting portraits, now granted you're going to have a still subject, but why would you manual focus when you can autofocus? So definitely make sure that you get a lens that autofocuses, because that's super important. But yeah, you definitely need a 24-70 millimeter if you're going to start getting into shooting portrait photography seriously. So, the second essential lens that you're going to need for portrait photography is a 70-200 f2.8. Now, this is actually a pretty heavy lens, and that's because you're able to go all the way to 200 millimeters and compress the background of the scene with the person or people in the frame. And this is important for a couple of reasons. If you're not able to get really close to a background, or if the background doesn't look as good when you're up close, you can use this and zoom all the way into 200 millimeters on your subject, and you can compress the background behind them, which makes it look a lot better in terms of like the background looking good and not looking ugly. And it works really well for scenarios like that. Or if you're out on a shoot and you're wanting to compress a building or trees behind the subject, this is the best lens that you can get for that. And then that is Sony, Canon, and Nikon. Probably all the other camera manufacturers as well have a 70-200 f2.8. It is important to keep in mind that eventually you're probably going to want some prime lenses as well. But zoom lenses, these are the most 2 essential zoom lenses that you can need. So here are some example shots with the 70-200, and yeah, it shows. Now this 70 to 200 in particular does have vibration reduction. It's always been super important to me to keep that vibration reduction on, because it is going to ensure that you can handhold this lens at small shutter speeds. So you could shoot at 200 millimeters at 1/60th of a second with the vibration reduction in your lens. And it's also important that you have IBIS in your camera, which is in-body image stabilization, which will also allow you to shoot at small shutter speeds in darker environments and handhold a lens. So the vibration reduction on this lens in particular, paired with IBIS in my camera, really makes it possible to use this lens in low light environments. You have probably also noticed that both of these lenses are f2.8. I think that is extremely important, because a lot of the times you're not going to necessarily want to see the background sharpen in focus. That can make a photo look generic and almost as if it was taken on a phone. You want to make your work look as professional as possible, and the best way to do that is blurring out your background majority of the time. There are examples in some reasons that you might want to have the background sharpen in focus, but for the most part you're going to want that nice creamy bokeh look behind the person or people in the image. So this has been a little bit of a shorter video for me, and it's not necessarily a typical video for me, but it's time to face it. This is a photography channel, and it's not just nature and wildlife. We do portraiture as well, and portraiture is a big part of my workload personally as a photographer off of this channel. So if you're looking into getting into portrait photography, these are going to be the best two zoom lenses that you can get, and in my opinion they are definitely essential lenses for you to be working with, and you shouldn't go into this business without having those two lenses. And if you do choose to go into this business without those two lenses, you're definitely going to want to eventually invest in those. It is possible to shoot portrait photography without zoom lenses, but that involves prime lenses, which involves a lot of switching around and backing up and a lot of moving. When you got zoom lenses, you're not having to move as much, and there's really not a huge difference in sharpness. So I personally prefer zoom lenses over primes, but you know, some people have their other preferences, and that's okay. I want to thank you all so much for choosing to watch today's video on the two most essential lenses that you can get for portrait photography. If you enjoyed the video, definitely make sure that you go down below and like the video. While you're down there, you might as well go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. You can also go down below in the description, or you can go to www.blurb.com/search and type in "Out of the Darkness" to buy my photo book. I have hard copy versions, as in soft cover, wraparound image cover, hardcover. You can also get the ebook version online for just $10. It's super cheap, and it's a great book that will allow you to see the beauty of nature. Once again, thank you all so much for watching today's video. That's all I've got for today, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.